Thank you very much for that introduction. I would like to report on the Atsugi Climate Assembly. I am Endo from the Atsugi Citizens Power Station. So first, I'd just like to introduce, if you can allow me to introduce ourselves. We have started activities 6 years ago. We are a group that's been working to avert a climate crisis and achieve a society that does not depend on nuclear power. So we're taking on the challenge of citizen-led local production of renewable energy for local consumption and revitalization of agriculture. Now, this is a picture in 2020, that's before COVID. This is a power station that lies on top of farmland. So this is a system for sharing the blessing of sunlight between agriculture and power generation. It is solar sharing or agri-solar. And so we'd be doing collective farming, we'd be welcoming visitors. A power plant that has become a place of connection. Now, the crops. So there's a panel, and the actual crop yield is higher because the moderate shade could be creating a favorable environment and could be ideal for agriculture in the age of global boiling. And we wanted to increase the number of this, but this is the only one that we have because it's difficult to expand when there's no benefit as it's profitable or not. And the city is working on the expansion of renewable energy, but it's not moving forward. And we wanted to ignite the next step. And that was what we came up to about 2 years ago. So we looked at the climate citizens assembly movement in other municipalities, and we wanted to do that. Now, the Atsugi city was not able to do that, was not able to host it. So they said that they were too busy. But actually, there has been a citizen collaboration sort of project, and there has been regulations that enable the public participation in making up these policies. So therefore, in order to realize the roadmap for climate change, we decided to organize a climate assembly in Atsugi City. And as a result, the Atsugi city became more forthcoming, and they said that they would be accepting like the proposals made from the climate assembly. Therefore, it was adopted as a citizen collaboration project. So not just to avoid a climate crisis, but the objective is to create a prosperous and comfortable future for Atsugi. So in about 4 months after it's been decided that we're actually going to hold this climate assembly, we've made this framework. And but we've been fortunate to have the support, as you can see here, and this is the framework of the climate assembly. Now, first on the funds, the financing there. So we have been able to receive 2 million again from the city collaboration efforts. But this, of course, this was not enough. So in the end, the operation, we were able to get about 6.5 million yen. And actually about last year, we were not sure whether we can actually receive the finance. And we actually had two scenarios under a good budget and not so. We were actually able to get the finance to actually operate that. And since this was a citizen collaboration, so the city was in charge of the random selection. And since the city gave the legitimacy to this project, it sort of gave a sense of security for the citizens to actually participate. But those participating would be ordinary citizens. Um, we've been able to gain the participants, but the facilitation part, of course, you need to know about the subject, but the facilitation skills, the training sessions were held so that people can actually facilitate that. Um, but what uh, but actually, what was most useful was the support that we were able to get from IDIT. And also, as main facilitator, Wasaki-san has supported us through this effort. So the selection, so random selection, so that was done by the city, as was mentioned. And so we actually weighed those in low populated places. So we had 3001, so random selection of 3001 was reduced to 52, which reflects that, so like a microcosm of society. We did select those people who were not necessarily interested in environment, so we were able to have more or less of a balance panel there. We we had a lot of supporting persons, such as experts and advisors as well. And on the bottom is the steering committee. Again, these are just ordinary people, including students. And that was how the meetings were steered. So this is the schedule. We started from June in a Sunday afternoon, 4 hours up to November. So first we uh, had the orientation, the foundation information. We actually gain information that we can still get to limit the climate rising to 1.5 degrees. And we had Watame-san from IGES talk about the climate warming. Second, to understand the Atsugi carbon neutral roadmap, the vision for decarbonization 2050. So we had that session. The third session was on the topics, 4 topics on the basic approaches to the decarbonized society. We had experts to lecture us. The fourth session, so we had 2 separate sessions there. So there were workshops to get us him to think that. And the fifth session, we had a symposium on enhancing the action plan. And in the discussions, we actually made a draft. And after the fifth session, we worked on the basics or the actual draft of the proposal. And before the sixth session, we made a preliminary voting so that we can work on the draft proposal. And we made a final draft after the sixth session. And after that, we voted on the draft. And based on that, we've completed the draft and we reported to the mayor at the end of last year. And on the right-hand side, so these were the special considerations when forming the Atsugi Decarbonization Action Plan in Atsugi. So these were what we mentioned. So it need to create a comfortable future for Atsugi. And the roadmap is quite, but a sort of resolution that we are actually going to realize this roadmap, and it needs to be just and fair. And we need to create mechanisms that enable even uninterested people to live normally while transitioning to the decarbonized society. And it's important to mention that the citizens are the core or the actors of the action plan. So these were some pictures from the scenes from the meetings. So in the sixth meeting, so four themes, and we had 74 action items, and we actually we actually saw a nice picture photo of the city. So we actually drew a picture so that people can have a better idea of the concept. And we asked for a volunteer, and we actually had a person who was an illustrator cartoonist. So based on the action plan, and putting it into an illustration or a picture on the action plan item. So we were lucky to have those. So this is the action plan, the report that we compiled, and there's also this. You can see the pamphlet to actually deliver to people. So that with the picture in the middle, and I believe that this would be very useful in spreading this idea so that it takes root. And so at the end of the climate assembly, made my action plan and announced that. So what is important for that person? So to have ownership and to actually support your own behavior and behavior change. So you can see everyone seeming happy and proud here. And I think Ms. Inela mentioned this as well. So this is the overview of the questionnaire results, a reflection on the assembly. So there are about 95% who said that they were good, that they were happy that they participated, and also the satisfaction on the proposal, there's 75%. And here you can actually see before assembly and after how people's perception changes. So the question was, I'm clearly aware of what initiatives and measures should be implemented in daily life and the community towards achieving a decarbonized society. So before the assembly, it was only about 20%. So they thought that they only about 20% agree, but after the assembly, it's close to 70%. And actually, before somewhat disagree was about half, and which is reduced to something like 2%. So you can see the change in people's perception and understanding there. And also the action towards realizing a decarbonized society. You can see that more than half wishes to participate. And so participating in something that is supported by the local government, or also participation in work by business and also in organizations and NPOs. And some we still do need to have an exercise to reflect on the overall activities. But these are some reflections by the supervisory team. So there's a lot of trial and error. So there's a lot of things that we need that we learned and improve moving forward. So there are people who are saying that due deliberation may not have been achieved. And also some people thinking about the quality and the quantity of the information provided. And also there were some reflections on the process from the sharing group discussion contents. And there's some operational issues for the steering committee's review. Lastly, this is what we're doing towards the next proposal, or what we're doing there. So we made a report and we'd be issuing that. So actually, we did a briefing session in February 17th. And so those citizens who participated and the staff, so those who were involved in the climate assembly, they actually mentioned their intention to wish to continue to participate. And this is part of the action plan. So one is continuation of the citizen collaboration. So section 5 is initiative to actualize, practice, and establish the Atsugi decarbonization action plan. So number 1 is a continuation of citizen collaboration in order to take concrete steps to Atsugi decarbonization action plan. So we actually have that in place. And And so actually, as a new collaborative entity, we propose to launch the carbon neutral Atsugi Future Project. And we will move this forward. So first is to have the citizens more recognize the Atsugi decarbonization action plan. And we're thinking of an organization to actually implement that. We're now in a preparatory stage, and we intend to start activities from April onwards. So those so there are about 20 people who have raised their interest in participating in this as we move forward. And for Atsugi City, it is led by the citizen, and it is a collaborative effort between the citizen and the city. And that is the feature of our activities. So, and those who are the citizens participating and the staff, they've been able to closely collaborate. So in that sense, the actions to further movement is the hurdle is lower, and I think that would be the strength of our activities as we move forward. So it was a challenge at the citizen level, but with the support and the guidance of many people, we have been able to manage to achieve some results, and we deeply appreciate everyone's support. And so those paving the way to the future have begun to connect. We're sure there would be a bumpy road ahead, but we'll continue to rise to the challenge. Thank you very much for listening.